Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have another international speaker joining us all the way from Canada. His name is Sven Roehl, and he's going to be talking to us about global insurtech trends. He is the CEO of MSG Global Solutions Canada, and he is someone who has seen an incredible experience in the industry. So let's hear from him. He is a thought leader. I would request you all to keep us updated with your comments and feedback. Sven, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ansa, and welcome everybody. And also thank you very, very much for being here in this session. As Ansa mentioned, my name is Sven Roehl, and I am the CEO of MSG Global Solutions in Canada, which is the local entity, the Canadian entity of a large IT consulting firm spread out around the globe in 28 countries. We're not in Pakistan, we're in India, we're in China, and in many other Asian locations. Hopefully, we're eventually going to make it to Pakistan. But we were founded originally 40 years ago in Germany, in Munich, and we're still an independent company. And we have about 8,500 employees around the globe. And we generate historically and still over 50-60% of our revenue from insurance companies. So we work with approximately 200 insurers around the world as our active customers, helping them with a lot of the IT issues. So one of the role that I also have in this organization is I'm the global head of innovation, and as such, I'm also responsible for our innovation labs. And one of the innovation lab that we have was founded downtown Toronto with a focus on the American markets. And just recently, we also opened a lab in the Netherlands to have a European presence, and we are currently in the process of opening one in Asia. In this innovation lab, which is called Cookhouse Labs, which has a very interesting name, as the name already almost indicates, Cookhouse stands for a place where many cooks from different kitchens come together and try different recipes from around the world. And we do this by using different methodology, and we've done this now for almost 5 years. And we gained a lot of insights now also on what is happening in the insurance world outside, because we've been working now on Cookhouse with more than 50-60 insurance companies worldwide. And then, of course, also all the insights that we have from our projects we do as MSG also gives a lot of perspective on this. So very happy to give you an introduction and kind of an overview and take you on the journey with me to look into what is happening in the global insurtech trends right now in the market. Now, the first thing that we want to know is, of course, what we experience is that the industry has experienced a lot of changes, and that is in the so-called developed market, but this is also in the emerging markets, because there is a lot of changes also coming from technology and also from the requirements and so on. And so we always talk, when we talk about insurtechs, also about the future. And what I think is very interesting is a quote that I have here, and you will see we're very big on quote, or I like to use quotes also, is from the Canadian American author who is his name is William Gibson. He was actually the one in 1984. He wrote the novel Neuromancer, and he predicted the World Wide Web even before it was invented. So he said, the future is here, it's just not evenly distributed yet. And I personally think that this is something that is very much true for the insurance industry, because we as an industry have not really invented much. I mean, think about it. What has the industry invented over the last 100 years that stands out that you can take and be proud of? Go to a party, for instance, and say like, hey, yeah, we have invented this and this. So you will see there's not that much. And but what we're good at and where our strength can be is when we adapt. So very important is the adaptation when it comes to the future for insurance. Now we have to also understand that the market is changing quickly. Everything around us is changing quickly. The speed that everything is changing is just tremendous. So think about that. Almost every Fortune 500 company from the 70s have been vanished. Arthur Andersen, Pan Am, just to mention a few. Mobile phones, it just took 2 decades to reach out to 75% of the world's population. So it's crazy how fast this is growing. And also what we see is now it's shifting around. In the past, it was like companies that have a lot of people who were very successful. Well, right now it's the other part. It's like, people short and asset light companies are the ones. If I grew up in Germany, I worked in Germany also with the insurance industry there, and there is a company like Allianz who has like 140,000 employees around the world, and there's some of the tech startups or the tech companies in the US who only have like maybe 1,000 employees and have the same value as a company like Allianz. In addition to the whole area of everything is changing, we as an industry are also transitioning right now. And the biggest transition that I see is happening right now is really that we're moving from being a passive risk taker to becoming an active risk manager. And think about this. In the past, the business around the world for insurance was mainly to take the risk, sign the risk, and then pretty much wait until something is happening, and then manage the claim to the payout, and that's it. So now more and more insurance industries and also more customers are also demanding that they want to prevent from something to happen. And that was not even 10 years ago. Even in countries like Germany, that was not the case. They were not looking into the prevention. They were, but right now there's a lot of program, a lot of shifts going into this area. What does it mean for the insurers that are adapting to this? Is the whole industry right now needs to shift from being a product provider, paper business, to becoming a service provider. Now although we have a very big problem right now, and this is actually a problem that you see globally in all and every country, and this is something we always experience in all the projects we do, is people understand, and we, especially from the industry, understand that insurance has a true societal benefit, especially in countries like Pakistan, for instance, where you really see it's a cornerstone, it's a pillar of the society. But the problem that we have is that the people out there don't really like us, and they don't really trust insurance. And there's various reasons, and most of us know most of the reasons, but it's a problem that we can only solve as an industry. We cannot solve this as one single organization. We need to come together as an industry. And it's interesting when you look at the perspective. There's a study from Qualtrics, one of the SAP company, and so when they asked different CEOs, this is not the insurance industry, this is just cross industry. So when you look at this, 80% of the CEOs believe they deliver a superior experience to the customers. It's pretty good. That's 8 companies out of 10 really believe we're delivering the best. The problem that you have is that only 8% of the customers agree. So at the end, only less than 1 person out of 10 of the customers actually thinks like that's an outstanding service. And that's what is called the experience gap. And this is exactly also not only when it comes to the experience, this experience gap is the problem that we need to work on, because this is the experience that the customers feel, or even our non-existing customers yet, what they see and what hinders them, what holds them back to become our customer and be happy with us. So when it comes to the customer, there's of course also a big shift, and we cannot only think in silos anymore and can say like, a customer needs a life insurance as an investment product. A customer needs to protect their business. A customer needs to protect their home and so on. No, customer now in the connected world and this is really happening that we see more and more across the globe now, is the customer is connected, and we need to be able also to respond to the connected customer. And so at the end, the products that we provide as an industry, they are there to serve the customer. If you think about it, insurance was developed out of this community idea that everybody puts in the money into the pool, and if something happens, the pool then pays out to the person that had the claim. This was very, very customer centric because everybody knew that if something happens to them, they know they are secured and safe. That was a community topic. Now we are a regulated industry out there, and that of course brings all the problems also with us. And it's not often so much about the customer anymore. And if you think about the customer, what are the initiatives that drive the customer around? When it comes to the customer and then also to the links of financial services specifically, it is about life insurance. The customer thinks about wellness, and there's many areas where right now insurance companies and also banks are building their services specifically around this customer. So when we look into this, we can see there's a lot of the topics there that are still far away from a lot of us in either on the insurance side or also in the market that we operate in. But nevertheless, one thing that is really universal and can be used in any region of the world is that innovation really distinguishes between a leader and a follower. That is very important. You cannot be a leader in your industry without being innovative. And I'll give you an example for this, and we use this pyramid all the time to also explain like what is happening in the market right now for the insurers. So there's 3 types of insurers that we identify. We have on the bottom part, we have the survivors. So the survivors are those who only focus on short-term performance. They focus on really grassroots initiatives also when it comes to innovation. They don't have an overall strategy to focus on this. And then when it comes to the next bottom, it's the fast followers. The fast followers are very agile, and they recognize the leaders and they can adapt very quickly. And then we have on the top, we have the so-called anticipators who can create their own future. What we see and what is interesting is that the anticipators out there has nothing to do with the size of their organization. We do not think about, the big reinsurers or the big carriers out there in the world. It's sometimes even the small mutual insurers that are very much focusing on creating their own future and also have, let's say, the innovation in their DNA, and it's a topic that they see as very important. The fast followers is an area which is extremely important also. Not everybody needs to strive to be an anticipator, but to be a fast follower is also very important. It just means you really need to be on top of the things. You need to be on top of knowing what is happening out there in the world and be very fast and adapting. What this means, of course, is you need to have, let's say, an organizational structure and even an IT structure that allows you to be, agile enough. But we come to this also in a second. So what is it that the anticipators are focusing on? So what they do, right, is, so first of all, they really implement digital leadership. So it means, when we think about digital leadership is every insurance company right now is an IT company. There is no doubt about this. This is very important when it comes to digital, and digital really goes into all various kinds of businesses. Now, digital does not even mean all the time, we're talking about tablet PCs and all this. Digital can also just mean a simple smartphone or a telephone. But you need to be able to process everything and communicate to your customer in a digital way. That also means that digital business is central to an organizational strategy, and with this also comes that your traditional products need to be reformulated to meet the requirements and the demands from the digital and the connected customers. And in countries where, like in Pakistan, where it's sometimes very hard to reach out to everybody out there, but for instance, a mobile phone is an option, then it needs to be clear that your products also need to be designed in a way so that you can really reach out to everybody in your market. This again requires a very digital environment. It's also important that that an organization encourages innovation in all areas of their organization. So, excuse me. So what this means is to have a pure research and development department, as it was in the past, is not very a productive way anymore. It's about every organizational unit, everybody in an organization needs to be encouraged to innovate, to be included in some of the innovation products and so on. So it's not only that you can say like we develop an innovation lab and we have some people that work around this and they bring up all the new products and then we implement them. It's really a topic of a whole organization. There's others that you can see here, but one thing that I wanted to point out is the collaboration part. Collaboration is absolute key. Think about the automotive industry. The automotive industry is collaborating with their competitors just simply because they see there's some areas in this business that don't bring any competitive relevance. And this is something that we can do also as an insurance industry. And as a matter of fact, this is what we do at Cookhouse Labs and this Innovation Lab. We work on projects with various insurance organizations together, and together we tackle the problems that the industry is facing. And it's great and crazy how much and how quickly we can drive results there as an industry if we come together because we're so many smart people. So this is what we see what anticipators focus on. Now, there's another very important topic when we talk about InsurTech. The word stands in the topic of tech, and at the end, IT and the technology matters. So there's a study also from McKinsey, and as you can see on the slide here, that as an example, in life insurance, companies that invested more in IT saw greater reduction in expenses ratio, actually by 2% point. And they also saw higher returns on then technical reserves, and when compared with insurers with lower IT investments. So insurers also receive these outcomes within 3 to 5 years of making their investment. So investing in an IT is actually very important for an insurance company. Actually, for the P&C insurers, so those with high IT investments achieved approximately twice the top line of growth of written premium growth than in comparison to the ones of low IT investors. So in other words, what we can see is, the investment in IT of an insurance company always pays off, because this is the foundation. If you need to have a technical foundation in order to be agile, in order to be able to connect with your customer in all different places. We work in areas like microinsurance, and one of the biggest problem that you have with microinsurance is, of course, the production costs of a policy. And so the IT system is the only way and the only solution that can solve this problem and reduce the costs. However, and that is the problem that we have with this, there's another problem that goes with this in hand. And here's a quote from the chief digital officer of Talanx in Germany. Actually, we ran a business together a long time ago in the InsurTech space, but he said the reality is that 95% of our investment and effort goes into the digital transformation of our legacy system, and the rest is available for innovation. So what it means is, of course, innovation is a holistic topic. It's about the technology and it's also about all the other areas. But the problem that we always have is that, of course, every company focuses on the IT and makes sure that the digital transformation is making progress there. But then there's only little left to focus on new services, new solutions, new products, because everybody's busy, of course, implementing the latest technology there. Now, I know this is an event today where we have a lot of the C-levels. And so one slide that I have here is like what keeps the C-levels awake at night. And I think a lot of you will share the same experience here. What we see with the problem that the industry is facing right now is, of course, staying compliant with over-regulation, managing, the whole transformation that we had there, integration of the strategy and technology. Big data is something we're facing a tremendous time right now with low interest rates. The competition is coming from everywhere, and then there's even topics like cyber risk. So there's a lot of pressure also on the board of an insurance company right now when it comes to innovation. But what are the top 10 challenges that the industry is or that insurance companies are facing when it comes to InsurTech innovation? And one thing we just talked about is legacy transformation projects come first. I mentioned the collaboration, and if there's a lack of this, that's of course also holding them back. Then also that quite often it's that innovation is simply seen as a new technology and not solving about customers' problem. That's very important because it's not about implementing the latest technology and then we can say we're innovative. It's about using technology to solve the problem of the customer. Also, the missing customer empathy is quite strong. Sometimes insurance companies just work within their own organization and they just think they know what is best for their customer and create the products for them. So the real value you can create when you actually work together with the customer and empathize and understand your customer very well, then you can also develop the best product. So we encourage everybody really to work very closely with their customer and include them in projects. Another challenge is really that insurance companies just copy from competitors. That was the time that worked well when insurance was just starting to take off. But nowadays, because of all the technical implication and connections that you have, copying is not really a solution anymore and will drive you away because it will take you a long time to copy this. And a missing innovation strategy is another very important topic. With if you only focus on a grassroots initiative and you don't have an overall strategy, then it's usually not very successful. Then the empowerment of employees to actually innovate can highly recommend focus on this. Quite often, interesting enough, is current products and services are too successful. So you think about you have a product that is so successful, why would you build anything else that would disrupt it? And then you have also very important, innovation is a bottom-up topic and not a top-down topic. That's one of the big challenge. So just remember, anticipators have a digital leadership. They believe in innovation. They have it in their DNA. So if you want to be innovative, make sure that you as the C-levels live and breathe innovation and take this on your agenda and make it serious, because the other ones, all the employees will follow. It is a top-down topic and not a bottom-up topic. Then we have the InsurTechs out there. And with the InsurTechs, and what is it? This is now an inspiring fact. What can we see? So I warned you, I'm very big on quotes. First thing, why do we have so many InsurTechs coming up right now? Well, as an industry, if we quote now Albert Einstein, he would say, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And I really love this quote. And actually, I'm sorry that I'm gonna throw you another quote right next, because there's another very smart guy who said something else, which is very important when you say, when you think about this, how can we solve the problems? And we think about customer empathy. Well, here it is. Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And that really comes to the bottom of the problem. If you just ask the customer, what do you want? You will not get to the bottom of it. You need to really work with this. You need to get to the essence of it, of what is the true problem and how can we solve it. Otherwise, you're just gonna bring a next iteration of something. And there's a methodology that we use also in our organization, that we use in our Cookhouse labs in MSG, that is very big also in other IT firms like SAP is using this. And this innovation methodology is called design thinking. And most, if not almost all InsurTechs, the new startups out there as well, are using design thinking, because they really try to learn and understand the target group first, with empathize. Then they come to the point, what is the exact problem? Then they design the solution and collaborate, and they build in this whole process while they're creating all this and building a minimum viable product and then testing it. They constantly work with customers along this path and test their solution. And this is something that comes way too often too short in the traditional insurance organization to build something together with the customers. That's something which is a very secret recipe in the sauce of the InsurTech startups. Now, what do we have out there as InsurTech startups? We can categorize the InsurTech startups in those 5 categories pretty much. So we have the marketplace aggregators, and those provide distribution models with multiple insurance companies or products in there. Then we have everything that falls under the category of insurance management, and their primary focus is on contract and policy management, and they range from mobile first to enterprise healthcare plans management. So this is really where it comes to manage insurance. And then we have the direct insurance or tied agents that are out there. So they provide distribution models with a single or at most a few limited insurance companies or company. So this is the ones that really are your distribution channel out there. And then we have peer-to-peer or cashback startups. Those are the ones that focus on the very strongly on this community aspect. And they think about distribution models that focus on products that reimburse or partial insurance premiums, and also where claims and damages are shared among a close buyer group. So this is another very interesting aspect that you can see. It has nothing to do with our traditional, actually it's very much our traditional insurance model, and it's sometimes not even a regulated business of the startup. So we work with a couple of these also, and it's quite interesting and fascinating what they come up with. And in the essence, they just build what the insurance industry has, or how the insurance industry has started with. And then the last part is the sales and engagement. This is everything that is insurance tech companies offering tools and software to insurance-related third parties, to insurance companies and brokers. So this is really the tech companies also behind this that enable you as an insurer also to be able to strive and provide all the services that you need. Then if we look into what are the technology trends or the leading trends amongst the InsurTechs. So what you can see here that most of the InsurTech technology startups, but also in general the technology is now going into the cloud service and software as a service, which makes sense because if you want to be quick, if you want to be agile, you're not going to build it yourself. You're not going to want to install and implement a heavy piece of software when there's a quick service, like an address search or whatever it is, which you can, or a payment process, which you can quickly implement. So cloud is very important, and then followed immediately by machine learning and AI, which is very relevant when it comes to optimized processes in order to be cost efficient. We have this whole area of usage-based insurance, or UBI, connected with IoT. Those are the third pillars. And then we have like chatbots, which robo-advisory, this is more coming down the road, and gamification and so on. So those are areas that are coming there. But you can see also microinsurance is a trend that a lot of the InsurTechs also see, and that also a lot of the technology companies see as very relevant, because it's a big market behind it. But it's also big technical challenges and distribution challenges behind it. But that makes our life so much interesting that we can tackle those challenges. Then what is if you look into the financing area, then you can see the venture capitalists' interest is growing into the startups. So InsurTechs, pure InsurTech startups that we see here that would call themselves InsurTechs. Last year we had 377 numbers of deals that were out there. There's of course lots more startups that are not have any capital from venture capitalists out there, but you can see the number is growing. And if it's growing like this, they will be soon, they will be very, very powerful also to take over some of the chunks of our traditional business. So keep an eye on this. There's a lot happening. So what is important there, though, is for us, and I mentioned collaboration. Well, collaboration can also and should happen with the InsurTech startups. And currently, according to PwC, there's a bit more than 40% of insurers claim that they have an InsurTech at the heart of the corporate strategy. But then we also see 20% explore partnerships with InsurTech companies, and then only 14% at the end participate actively in ventures. So you can still see that the collaboration is not so strong yet. So this is where we come in, and the collaboration, just to end this presentation, is Cookhouse Labs, we were created to foster and encourage open collaboration, and then also to focus on building and generating new business models with the customer as its heart. And as you can see, like in our lab, we really think about it is important to bring every stakeholder together that is involved in this insurance journey, and bring them together and work with them in defining new solutions to the world.
Right. Thank you very much, Sven. Thank you for your time. Unfortunately, we have to move on to the next session.
That is my last slide. So thank you also.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Stay tuned. We've got another great session coming up.
Thank you very much, everybody.